All right, sit down there. Sit down there.
Godzilla vs. King Kong.
All right. All right, gentlemen. For another review. We're going to talk about Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Welcome to
giant lizard.
Bark. Welcome to Gark Bark episode 3.
Gark Bark. Hark.
I'm Alex.
I'm Brad. I had to think about it for a second.
He's the
only one not drinking.
Would you get some booze?
I'm Will. Hi.
Oh, I didn't turn the thing around so we can see.
I'm the creepy guy.
If you watch, show people in the link below where we can go to see creepiness.
Yes, watch me feel nothing but pure anguish in watching my own cringe right over Alex's face. Perfect.
Alright.
So, we're going to talk about Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yes.
The movie...
Put some respect on his name.
The movie, in itself, everyone can get the general gist from the title. You got Godzilla, King of Monsters, going up against Kong, who will bow to no one. But before we talk about the movie, I thought it would be interesting to actually bring up...
No one gets his
how is
dick stomped in. But
again?
So I would like...
Godzilla. Just saying.
I'm about to take an axe to you.
I would like to clarify. These two are hardcore Team Kong. I am
not necessarily true.
Team Godzilla all the way ever since I was a kid.
Kong bows to no one.
Alright, so let's actually talk about this a little bit.
Let's talk about our experience with monster movies before this movie. What did we grow up with? Because I think all of us have a little bit of experience, but let's talk about it. We'll start with Brad.
I grew up in a...
And that was Brad. So...
No, I grew up in a family that my dad always really liked.
Aren't you lucky?
Because your dad's dead.
Yeah.
Can we keep that in?
Do you want to talk about that?
So the first monster I dealt with in my life was the monster of divorce.
So, oh my god. Alright. So,
this is staying in, I don't care. Back to Brad.
Okay, yeah.
Please tell us about your experience.
You guys watch...
Let him talk. Let him talk. Let him talk. Drink. Fuck off! Let him talk.
No, again, I grew up in a family with a father who really liked the old, the old rubber suit Godzilla.
Oh, look at me! I don't know.
But the original Kong as well, you guys.
The original King Kong, yeah. Every year on Thanksgiving. Every year on Thanksgiving.
He does it. Watch the
literally
films.
Watch the films. For some reason, it's my right arm. I have it right here on my head. Yeah, it is my. I figured it out the other day.
I always do it with the left hand.
I was walking in the shop and realized I was doing it. I'm like, what the hell am I? I don't know why I do it. I do it. It's always right here.
It's like he has to check a pocket watch or something.
All the time.
Alright,
but every year Thanksgiving we watch the original King Kong, and then I grew up with all the old Godzilla movies up through the 90s ones. We had Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla on VHS. That movie's great. You've seen that one.
I've seen bits. I haven't actually seen the whole thing.
Little baby Godzilla with the landmines and stuff.
Oh.
That one's fun, and those were always fun and goofy. Dudes in big rubber suits and little miniatures. It's adorable. It's fun. They're ridiculous, and I love them.
He's had a large history of some damn good Godzilla movies in the past. The good campy stuff.
How about you, Will? Do you have a history with monster films? What's your experience?
So, my monster film experience isn't so much pure Godzilla as it was...
I didn't see you there. I scared the hell out of me.
Alex is the true monster.
It's just
the Gark in Gark House.
It's the rum with the soda.
Pepsi. Nondescript cola.
I'm a happy drunk.
Totally
scary.
Totally unbiased cola. Anyway.
Biased news. Check out Baxter and the General in the comments.
Yeah, it's about as coherent as this.
Covering my face.
The links.
Hey, can't see my face. Look at that.
Can you do that in the middle of the video? This is Howard T. Baxter with Completely Unbiased News, and I'm joined today by the General.
Hello!
So, today, what are we doing?
Well, there's been reports of seeing the Easter Bunny down here.
Easter Bunny.
Yeah, my good buddy Ed Smokum called up. He's a little bit of a hippie, but you know.
Completely Unbiased News.
Baxter and the General.
We're going to go and talk about my experience in MonsterVerse. So, as a kid, I of course saw a Godzilla movie or two, but I may have not sat down and watched all of one. I can't really recall. I know I've seen the old school King Kong. Like the one where he actually dies on the Empire State Building. Seen that.
You can find a lot of them online.
That's the thing. I've seen more as I got older, but my youth and growing up, my real light in monster movies was Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Really, you get into it, guys in suits, fighting over top of cities.
Same thing.
It had more of the story plots of like the kids running around and the life problems. But some of the stuff that distinctly is remembered in my mind is like the putty monsters and like the giant mech cutting through them.
Let's get a dog!
So all that stuff.
Getting a dog!
All that stuff. It's really... These two gargs are so unprofessional.
Gax fills it! Alright, did you go? Oh, no. We're riding this out, man.
So, I have a large history of Power Rangers. I grew up with it a ton as a kid. Calling out my buddy Brandon. He knows what it's about. So, because of that, I knew about kaiju fights. I've always been a fan. As soon as, like, a big monster movie hit, like, the theaters, I was there. Pacific Rim is one of my favorites. I always... And people give Pacific Rim crap for the plot.
What?
You watch the movie for the robots and the monsters.
Let's actually talk for 5 seconds.
Let's not.
Let's talk for 5 seconds about Pacific Rim.
What did you grow up? We're not talking about Pacific Rim. Look at the statue. Look at the statue.
Alright, so my experience with monster films, Godzilla in particular, was, I believe it came out in 1998, was the Godzilla film by the director, I can't remember his name, but he did Independence Day, he did The Patriot. He's, it's good.
Perfectly good, yeah.
They're perfectly good films, but he tried to do, a different version of Godzilla, and it was weird. But I thought that was Godzilla, right?
That was actually the very first Godzilla film I ever saw.
Well, that's
As
what
a
I'm
kid,
saying.
yeah.
That was my Godzilla growing up. Yeah, Roland Emmerich, right? Did I say that correct?
Roland
Emmerich. So he did this film, which I think is still fine. It's still funny. It's fine.
It's not a Godzilla movie, but it's a perfectly fine monster movie.
It's literally Godzilla, because we can talk about the origins of Godzilla. In this film,
Dude,
Godzilla...
Will Smith chose not to be in Independence Day 2 because he chose to do Suicide Squad. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid. So, we're talking about Godzilla. And he actually was a lizard that was transformed through radioactive activity to become Godzilla.
In that movie?
In this 1998 film.
They stole the story to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This is not the original origins of this.
The original origins of Godzilla, in the original film, he is an allegory for nuclear power.
Yes.
Right.
This is why he literally has nuclear power.
And this is the model from 1967. So,
which is not the original, but it's the next iteration.
Right. And that was what had some gravity to these films. They weren't just monster flicks. It was like, hey, we're dealing with this sort of fallout.
It was literally discussing world issues at the time.
Right.
Got you in the theater.
Yeah, Godzilla never really had a concrete origin story in all the Toho films.
Right.
He just kind of showed up, and people were like, "Oh, I'm sure the nuke's got something to do with that." And it's funny because in a lot of the movies they try and hint at possible origins. Oh, maybe he's a crossbreed of a T-Rex and a Stegosaurus. That's in one of them. It's stupid.
Right. So in the 1998 film by Roland Emmerich, basically he's, it was actually a lizard that was transformed due to nuclear.
Specifically an iguana.
Right. So when I see that. Yeah, I'm keeping track. It's fine. It's good. So anyway, the 1998 film was my first exposure to Godzilla, and I thought that was Godzilla. It turns out that's not Godzilla. This is Godzilla, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I know. And then Pacific Rim is freaking awesome.
Yeah, but we like monster movies. Maybe it's just because we're guys. Maybe it's because we just like giant robots and giant monsters.
We just
wrecking
love
up Tokyo Town.
giant, stupid, schlocky stuff.
Pacific Rim by Guillermo del Toro, who is an excellent director and won for Best Picture for The Shape of Water.
Good movie.
Go watch that movie.
Watch that movie.
It's great.
Especially if you like fucking fish.
You get the
Or
scale.
Or eggs. Or masturbating.
I like the
What the
50s.
fuck are you talking about? When did... What? Masturbating? What?
Remember she's just getting it in the bathtub?
Were you
with
not
eggs
watching
and
the
water?
first half of the
yeah!
movie?
This is pretty good.
Anyway, what I'm
Cut
simply
that
saying
fucking
is,
shit out, motherfucker.
the reason I care about monster movies a lot is because many times movies get overly complicated with multiple plot lines. And you gotta remember, a movie's not like a book. You don't have enough time to really be concrete. Monster movies are pure in that there is simplicity and almost an elegance to it. I know that's crazy to say.
The simpler they are, the better the movie turns out. And that
the
was
more
the
focused it can be.
That
Like,
was the brilliance of this movie.
Yeah,
honestly.
with a
It was-
monster movie, you
All
know
right.
there's a monster and it's going to fight something. And you don't need to go into it ready for this big, giant ordeal. It just happens, right? And that's one of the beauties of it. So many things today are so taxing. So you gotta think all the time. You never really get a chance to relax.
Well,
with a monster movie,
right.
you just kick back and enjoy the action.
Just watch the carnage. Yeah.
Right, so let's briefly recap sort of this MonsterVerse which was kicked off in 2014 with...
Is this part of the MonsterVerse?
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking of the Horrorverse with the sexy mummy.
No, okay, so that's a completely different thing. Where you've got,
I was really hoping Sexy Mummy fights Godzilla. That shit would be great.
No. This is the MonsterVerse that started in 2014.
Tom Cruise, we need you to fight Godzilla.
Now that crashed and burned real quick and good riddance. Why the hell is Tom Cruise in a mummy movie is beyond me.
Tom Cruise fights Godzilla. Make it happen.
He's just... Guys,
Guys are the best at fighting
he's
Godzilla.
coming, man.
So the MonsterVerse thus far.
Alright, so... Go ahead.
It started with, what was it, 2014 Godzilla?
I was getting into that, yeah.
The movie that is 90% reveals. Not a bad film, but there wasn't enough monster in it. By any means.
Godzilla cruising for
Okay.
his ass.
Let's just sum up the building up to. There's 4 films in this MonsterVerse.
That's what I'm doing, Alex. I'm building.
So Godzilla 1 in 2014,
Yes.
which is a bunch of reveals and stars actually.
Oh wait, time out. Spoilers. There might be spoilers from here on out.
There's spoilers in this whole video.
Yes, but we're telling you now that this
If
is
you're
the
worried
point.
about spoilers, get your stupid ass off
Alright.
our video.
We love you.
Who is
Come
the guy
back
that
later.
stars in Breaking
All
Bad?
4 of you.
Honestly,
Bryan Cranston.
yes. Bryan Cranston was in this film in 2014 Godzilla.
For
right?
20 minutes, then he died.
When he showed up and he died, the film died with him.
And until the fight.
Until the fight, which is like 2 minutes long. There wasn't enough Godzilla
It's awesome, though.
in Godzilla. And it was a lot of reveals. This is Gareth Edwards, who also originally directed Rogue One, which is... I fucking love that movie. It's great.
Next came Kong.
Next came Kong, which is a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Skull Island?
It's a lot of fun, yeah.
Oh, Skull
A lot
Island's
of fun.
great. Watch Skull Island.
A lot of fun.
Right.
Watch Skull Island.
Which has the guy who directed
Starts as a war movie, ends as a
Summer
monster flick. It's
Days
great.
of Summer or Kids of Summer or something like that.
Sure.
I don't know.
Summer Kids?
Kings of Summer. There it is. And actually, my brother was an extra in that.
Lords of Daylight.
Because my brother is a professional stuntman who was in various
Sultans of the Sun.
Dukes of Morning.
Okay, so
Barons of Night!
after Skull Island came
Came
Godzilla King
King
of
of
Monsters,
Monsters,
which
which-
came out in 2019. Take it away.
That one was great. That one was the one where Godzilla really came into it. That one felt like an old Toho Godzilla movie
Because of the enemy.
because
Because of they were
it
smart.
brought in a lot of the.
They were smart.
Yeah.
They didn't beat around the bush.
Charles Dance was a
They brought
crazy
in who they
environmentalist
need to bring in.
bastard.
Who do they need to bring in?
They brought in Ghidorah. They brought in Rodan.
Fuck Rodan. Go! No, excuse me.
What was that weird?
Yeah,
Yeah, those were the featured monsters, right?
And Mothra.
And Mothra, which
is
they,
great.
Godzilla and Mothra were fucking.
They basically went, okay, we made the first Godzilla movie. People complained that it wasn't Godzilla-y enough.
Like I just
so what
said.
do? We bring in
Right.
all the classic arch villains, and we're just going to make a Godzilla movie. And damn it, they did. And it felt like it, except they just blew the scale way up. It was a Godzilla movie, but bigger.
Just to touch on that for a second.
Yeah.
So it's a good movie. You recommend
It's a good movie. I recommend it. But I'd just like to say this to anybody who possibly could be watching, and see if people would agree with me on this. Everybody screws up the opening of a Godzilla movie for me. I fully agree that this would be the best opening for a Godzilla movie, until someone can correct me.
Which one?
It starts off with a black screen, and then you hear Godzilla roaring, and then it's just Godzilla blasting something in half, but you're facing him blasting the screen. He rips it in half, and then we just go straight to the action.
Well,
Just start a Godzilla movie with a fight.
starting, hopefully even this weekend, I am going to introduce you to some of the old Toho films, because a lot of them just start out, they're like, it's a Godzilla movie, here we go, buckle up, motherfuckers!
That's
Rah! It's
like
great.
when you watch a Godzilla movie, one of the when you see a monster film nowadays, one of my biggest problems is you got 30 minutes to try to reel in the audience. Like, oh, you want that monster? Oh, you want that monster? So yeah, we want the fucking monster.
Give me the monster! I paid my $10 bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it, CGI budgets and all
Right,
that
right.
shit. Fine, but I'm
Right.
just saying right now, if you're gonna do it, just go.
Right.
Just put on the gas. Don't
Rich.
take it off.
This movie somewhat did that.
It did. It did.
They brought Kong in. Kong's in it in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
He does something destruction in the first 10
and
minutes.
even the titles, like they're showing recaps and stuff.
Which is one of the best parts. The fact is, there's a story being told through the monsters. Not
Yes.
just through people, through the monsters. You got Kong doing stuff. You got Godzilla doing stuff.
Right.
You got some jackass kid doing stuff. Oh, wait. That's a different type of monster.
Well, right,
That's
so-
a monster that kills film.
Right, so basically to sum up is the MonsterVerse so far, and again, depending on rights and who has the rights
Beer is
to
hard
whatever. The first Godzilla film is a good film, it's fine, go check it out.
Drink one of those beers.
Kong Skull Island
No,
is
you won't.
great. King of the Monsters is great, go see those
halfway
films.
through it.
This
Oh, I thought you said it
film,
was empty.
Godzilla vs. Kong,
Brad has got a goal in mind.
so now we're actually up to the film now. So basically, Kong is kind of the main character.
Kong is the main character.
Kong is absolutely the main character, which works because it gives Godzilla that animosity. No, that
Ambiguity.
ambiguity. Thank you. That ambiguity of we know what Kong's doing. Where's Godzilla? Godzilla is the threat.
He's the straight up monster.
Let me
Yes.
pause you guys really quick on that. Let me touch on that. Godzilla through the years. The very first Godzilla movie, he is the villain.
Yes.
He is the monster.
Yes.
And I believe Godzilla Returns, it was the exact same thing. Throughout time, they introduced new monsters, and they wanted monster fights, and Godzilla kind of became
The defender of Japan.
an anti-hero.
He kind of became like a good guy, kind of.
Yeah, some of the movies he was a good guy, some of the
Originally,
movies
he was always a monster.
not as good. Right. Originally, he was a monster. He was a metaphor for atomic power.
Right.
And nuclear...
Deterrence.
nuclear...
You gotta have it to stop it.
Right. As it progressed, he became the defender of Japan, fighting all these monsters.
And then Gamera.
But then they actually... Godzilla's died in these movies like 8 times.
Yeah.
They kept killing him off and then bringing him back. And then they finally were like, okay, we're going to bring him back as a monster again. And then people were like, well, I don't like a bad guy Godzilla. I want a good guy Godzilla. So they bring back more monsters. He fights them. So this one,
He's an anti-hero.
he starts off the movie. He's
The villain.
the villain.
Yeah.
Because he's just,
Tearing it up.
first scene you see with him, he just comes on, destroys this facility, which you know is full of bad guys, but...
But you don't know.
Right. He's fucking shit up, and people are like, Godzilla's fucking shit up. Why?
Godzilla's turned evil. They even have a moment where they're like,
Right.
Godzilla wouldn't do this, and the angry dad just fixes
Right.
his tie. He's like, no, he's a monster.
And this is the whole beginning of the film. This is the inciting incident, which is Godzilla's killing people, and we don't know why. Bam.
So
Now we need Kong.
now we're getting into a situation that's a problem. Two things happen. Like you said, Godzilla's busting up the tower. We need somebody to stop him. We go get Kong. But they don't want Kong to fight Godzilla. They want to get Kong so they can find the center of the Earth.
Hollow Earth. Yeah.
Hollow Earth. Which, I'll touch on that later.
Well-
They never actually wanted Kong to fight Godzilla.
Okay. Well, because Godzilla would kill him.
Exactly.
Godzilla would, as I said before, stomp his dick in, and then probably eat him.
But they need him to go. There's this whole Hollow Earth
Because he's better.
thing. So we go and find Scientist Man, which is one of the Skarsgårds.
Anyway, so, no. We're skipping past that real quick. We're skipping past a very important part. So we come to one of the cooler characters of the story.
Godzilla.
Well, it's very monstrous this time.
We've got Godzilla. He's
most
looking
vicious
awesome.
he's ever
blowing
been,
stuff
yeah.
up. The atomic breath, beautiful.
Excellent.
But we then go from that to this character, this investigator who has this like radio station, this podcast.
Podcast.
Conspiracy theory podcast.
But this guy's a great character. He's a conspiracy theorist who's like, these people are up to no good. They're bad people, man. Godzilla wouldn't do this. Something's happening. You gotta read between the lines.
And where does he work?
He works at the facility
Apex.
that got Apex, the
Apex.
place that got attacked.
Which, sorry, really quick. Is Apex part of Tahoe Films? Toho?
Not that I remember.
So
Monarch is.
so
I don't
Brandon-
believe Apex is.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I didn't know that. So,
I just wanted some background. I didn't know if
Yeah, that's
Apex
fine.
was a thing. Yeah.
So, he's working there to try to get information to prove that Apex has been up to no good. Now, this guy actually goes into the facility since he's working there. He hacks in, gets data programs, walks around and sees some crazy tech. The dude is actually being a cool character. Now, he's a little of the nerdy, like, whoa, man, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to be here type.
Talking about the Illuminati and
Yeah,
all
he's
this awesome stuff.
yeah, he's like a nut, but he's also actually right, like trying to find the information. So that being said, I thought he was a great character. And in the beginning, he actually gets caught by the guards because he's not very good, but because of the destruction of Godzilla, he escapes after seeing some tech. Tech of an eyeball, which throws you into, well, a cybernetic eyeball. That can only mean, we'll get there. So the unfortunate part is, it then cuts to the daughter of the guy from the last movie.
Right.
Millie Bobby Brown did not need to be in this film.
This girl did fine. She's a fine actress.
Right.
She was great in it, but
But she is
unnecessary.
unneeded. My biggest problem with this is she and her bubbling,
yeah.
chunky friend from
I've actually never seen.
Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2.
Oh, yeah,
he's
yeah.
Fire Hands, which, by the way, nothing wrong with that actor either. He's fine. I like that
They
kid
were
in
great
Deadpool.
in this film, but they were just
They
shoehorned
did a
in.
great
Right.
job, but
They're
the
shoehorned
writing
in.
should have cut
Right.
them out. One of my problems,
Right.
as always, is that this movie needed tightened up for more time for the monster. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it didn't need plot. I'm just saying there's a lot of times where they're bumbling around, talking in a diner, tap water, no tap water, the Nazis and all that shit, and they're talking about stuff, and then they eventually attack the facility. I really felt it was a one-man job. I really just felt it should have been this cool, like, crazy, tinfoil hat wearing guy finding some information.
You also really didn't even need that. You could have just followed the villain around a little bit.
Well, I do feel like he was an interesting plot point. I will not argue that he might not have even been needed either, but I liked his character.
I did too.
It really plays on, like, the
yeah.
people of today.
So,
3.
so in she's great in Stranger Things, and then
she was fine in King of Monsters.
and she was fine in
Yeah, she's King of
King of Monsters, right? But we just and I think the only reason she was in this film,
She was fine in this.
and her father
Yeah.
was in this film, was because they were sort of the connecting tissue from King of Monsters into this film.
They decided they needed a
Right.
human aspect
They
for both
ser-
monsters.
They
And,
served a purpose, right? You got the Godzilla side,
and you got the Kong
you got
side.
and the Kong side was great.
The Kong side stuff was
You
awesome.
got the young, you got the
Yeah.
young girl, you got the actress.
Actual deaf young actress who played the girl.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
If
like
I could-
in the Quiet Place they got an actual
If I could,
actress. That's amazing.
if I could jump in for just a second. During the Kong stuff, you have the guy who specializes in Hollow Earth, and you got the lady with her daughter who are Kong experts.
Everybody has fucking chemistry. It's amazing.
They worked great.
was
My
great.
biggest problem is they had to include the guy's daughter because he worked on Godzilla, and that was his daughter, and that's like the connection. but he wasn't in the movie for 20 minutes.
I think he was in the film for maybe 5 minutes.
So what I
He was just there.
Where are you? Where are you?
He was the shoehorn that
Yeah.
He was the shoehorn that brought Millie Bobby Brown into the.
One of my problems was again, I really felt his daughter shouldn't have been included, but rather he should have been with the Kong team. Brought them on as an expert, and then because he's there, you have the chemistry of the Kong expert, the Godzilla expert, and the Hollow Earth expert, and they're a team now. You can still have that like crazy podcast guy running around, and you have the you've got Kong, you've got the evil guys, and you've got the reporter, and those would have been a great narrative. But instead, we don't have her dad; we get her. And now she's with the reporter guy, and that starts to bog up. My point on this is the reporter and her friend and the 2 kids are the lowest part of the film.
And let me amend that by saying that yes, they do pump the brakes a little bit for this movie, but they just kind of tap the brakes.
No, they don't.
Nothing brings this film to a screeching halt.
No.
This movie keeps going, and it didn't take me out of the film. It didn't piss me off at all. It was just kind of like, okay.
Tell me this: if you had cut out all the scenes where it was the reporter, the 2 kids that aren't interacting with either a monster or the villains, this movie would have been better.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say that the actors, because once again, the actors were fine.
Everybody was great in it.
The
It was
writing
just,
in those parts were completely unneeded. Like, for instance, one of my biggest pet peeves is there's a part where the guy's got this whiskey bottle in a gun holster, and he's just like, I gave it for my wife, and the day I drink it, the day I gave up. All the way at the end, we got the big bad monster, and they're all about to die.
You're setting that up.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, man.
That's going to come into play later.
I've given up, so I'm going to drink, kids. And meanwhile, the boy who's taken 1 high school class on computers is trying to hack into Cybertech Central, and he fails. And then the boy originally goes, whiskey, and he grabs the bottle from the dude, pours it on the computer, and this breaks the computer. Now, I'm not saying that wouldn't work, but really?
Well, and some context on what the hell you're talking about.
I wasn't going to say the big bad yet because I was waiting for Wayne to.
Well, so everybody knows that the Batman-Superman thing was there's another bad guy. And isn't that like in every versus, like Alien vs. Predator? And
No, there's no third thing in Alien vs. Predator.
There's not?
No, it's
How about
just Alien and Predator.
How about Freddy vs. Jason?
Also,
No, there isn't. Wow, 2 for 0.
Hey, look. The point is, there's
Man, this is just like World War II. There's so many sides.
It's fun right now to have 2 things smash against each other.
the
Like the
original,
brain cells left in your head.
the original,
Scooter on, bitch.
the original King Kong versus Godzilla, which that one was called King Kong versus Godzilla.
It was, yes. I've seen some bits.
That one, it was just those 2 fighting. King Kong wins. They both fall into the ocean due to the meddling humans, and they're punching each other in the water a little bit. King Kong comes up to the surface and walks on shore, and the movie ends with them going, well, I'm not sure Godzilla's actually dead. Roll credits.
Godzilla can breathe underwater.
Right. So that said,
They bring that
this
up
one,
in the movie.
This one, they decided, okay, there's obviously 2 teams here. People love both of these characters.
Keep going.
Let's have them come together for an actual
And now for
a team up.
broadcast of Alex Free Moment. Is there times where you have a friend that's drank too much rum, just has to piss every 15 minutes, and knows jack shit about actual versus movies? Well, don't you worry. This moment's safe. This is a safe place.
He's gone now. You're free. Cherish
Free.
these moments.
Free to click on this link. That'll lead you to a random Garkhouse video.
One without Alex in it.
See the pillow?
One where he is
Just
safely.
simply click on it.
One where he is safely behind the camera.
As long as it's not a stupid playback
Where he-
video.
Well, shit. That's what I was gonna put there.
I know.
All right, so let's talk about the stuff we liked.
Yeah.
About Kong versus Godzilla.
We'll start over there and come around.
Or Godzilla versus Kong.
I liked that all of these.
I'm good. That's good rum.
1, 2, 3. All right, let's talk about the good stuff.
Alex just died.
So, what did you guys like about Godzilla vs. Kong?
I liked the fact that all of three of these monsters, like in King of Monsters, felt like the things that they're based on. Like, this was Godzilla. In fact, Toho actually had a caveat for them to make this film. They said Godzilla is not allowed to emote. He's not allowed to show emotion. He's a force of nature. You're not allowed to have Godzilla smile or laugh or do any fun stuff like that. Kong shows emotion the whole time because he's a monkey. Or he's an ape. But, like, Godzilla can't do that. That was their caveat for Legendary to make these films, was Godzilla's a force of nature. They get around it a few times. There's a couple times where you go like, ah, yeah, Godzilla's laughing at this, or Godzilla's smiling. But
you can interpret a scream any way you want.
But yeah, Godzilla's just this ruthless force of nature. King Kong is the relatable character. Like, you actually feel for him. You feel a connection to him.
Unlike that emotionless husk of a lizard.
Yeah. And then Mechagodzilla kind of felt... It was a new thing. It was a new take on Mechagodzilla instead of the stupid thing with the drone.
I'll be real, but Mechagodzilla was actually terrifying.
Yeah, legitimately
like,
scary.
He seemed like a real threat. The missiles, the fact that he can stand there and then suddenly sidestep you with the rockets.
Faster, stronger, bigger.
They showed him doing things, like, anatomy-wise, a normal thing couldn't do. Nothing could just suddenly move to the side.
Right.
You know, he could. That's how Godzilla missed all his fights. Because he was just basically strafing all around him with jets.
So you would
crazy.
say that the actual monster action we got
was
fantastic.
Top-notch.
It was good.
Like the friggin' bam, 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 bam.
Because, because up to now...
so good.
Right.
That's going to
Just
be great. Nobody's going to understand that.
Throwing Godzilla through these buildings,
Right.
and you and I are just... You are cracking up. Like,
Here's the thing. Anytime... There's one scene where Mechagodzilla goes... and smashes Godzilla against a building, and then again... And the whole time, we're looking through the windows of a high-rise. And it just goes POV right in front of you, and I just went... You know, because that's what it is. It needs to... It's fun, and it needs to bring out the scale. And up to now... Pacific Rim was really the only film that brought out, like, wow,
these are huge.
These are huge, you know, monsters and
Titans.
robots. And I feel like this film did a good job with scale. It, like, you know, like, well, you feel the weight, you feel the impact,
and everybody kind of.
It's great.
Everybody got their time in the spotlight.
Everybody got their time in the spotlight.
Every character had their moment where they kind of helped to save the day. Godzilla and Kong finally get to their big fight in Hong Kong, which stylistically is awesome. All these neon lights and everything's amazing. They have this huge knockdown, drag-out fight.
We've skipped a kind of an important part here. Kong Nation.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But the
Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth.
Well, we'll get to the Hollow Earth in a second.
But they have this huge brawl, and Kong is outmatched. He's got the axe, which is helping him keep up. He's outmatched, and it ends
the story writers in their contract weren't allowed to let Godzilla lose.
Probably true. But all in all, Godzilla
Kong would have known if he could do his monkey magic.
Barely defeats Kong. Like, barely wins, and it's more of an implied victory than an actual victory. He doesn't kill him. He just kind of had enough, and then walks away.
He does kill him. Godzilla beats Kong. He actually crushes his chest in so badly that King Kong's heart starts to stop.
Right.
He beats him. He screams in his face, but Kong still, even in his dying moments, refuses to surrender. Which was really cool. Defiant to the end. And then Mechagodzilla comes out.
Right.
Godzilla goes, something else whose ass I can kick. Tries and gets his ass handed to him.
Now, he might have won had he not been weakened by Kong. We'll never know.
But he just absolutely gets his ass handed to him by Mechagodzilla.
He starts getting the crap beat out of him.
And so, the girl and her mom and the guy, they bring him back.
That was a cool part where,
cool.
The guy, before he was a coward and weak, and now he's like, I'm going to do this to save Kong. And mind you, they were concerned about Kong this whole time. He wasn't. He was more about Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
But now that he's gotten to Hollow Earth, he's like, no, we have to save Kong. he genuinely shows as much interest in Kong as he did Hollow Earth. Now he realizes, well, no, he's a guardian. I have to save him.
Right.
So he goes up and uses the ship to shock Kong, kind of like a defibrillator, to keep his heart back up.
And so Kong comes back, and
then
basically
Kong gets a giant banana. And he's just like, yeah.
But Kong comes back and basically helps to turn the tide to where they're almost evenly matched with Mechagodzilla. But Mechagodzilla still has an edge
more lethal
until the whiskey gets spilled on the computer.
Yeah, one of the big things we've kind of skipped is inside Mechagodzilla is one of the skulls of King Gamera, and inside
it was inside the facility
and inside the machine.
Yeah,
and inside because they telepathically connect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there was a pilot.
That's Ghidorah, not
Ghidorah thing.
Gamera.
I keep doing that. So Ghidorah, remember, his heads were so far apart that they had to telepathically link.
Right, yeah.
That's how they were controlling Mecha. Until they went down to Hollow Earth and found some of the primordial energy source of the world. The thing that created the Titans. Well, what they do is they take that and they inject it into the power cells of Mechagodzilla. What they didn't realize is that because the skull of King Ghidorah
right?
was inside there, that pure energy put out the actual psychic power of the real Ghidorah, and he takes back over Mechagodzilla.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he stops listening. That's why he destroys the facility.
He becomes self-aware, becomes his own thing. But yeah, so basically, they pour the whiskey on the computer.
And that gives it a second of a glitch.
Gets the glitch, which gives Kong just that one split second he needs
to get in there.
Uses the axe, basically dismembers him, and then
well, then Godzilla helps him out by powering the axe.
And
they work together.
Mechagodzilla's about to kill Kong. Godzilla's already had his ass handed to him. He uses his atomic breath, lights up the axe, which allows
Imagine
Kong to,
monkey here.
Yes,
there's a monkey and an axe. He goes.
Then here's Mechagodzilla.
I'm gonna set him down. It's fine. Here's Mechagodzilla. Here's Kong. Yep. And then the breath.
The spoilers.
And then. That's how it happens.
Alright, so final thoughts on we finally get to see Kong versus Godzilla.
Well, before we get to the final thoughts,
okay,
you wanted to talk about Hollow Earth.
Yes.
Hollow Earth, yes. It was badass.
Really
so
cool.
Hollow Earth is this very interesting place that they create. I think it's one of the most impressive things in the whole movie is this landscape. It's kind of like a donut shaped, if you will, right? In that the floor is a loop. So there's a point where the ceiling and the floor meet in a mountain, and you can actually transfer above. It's got this gravitational rift. And it's here Kong discovers that his people actually made a home. There's carvings of Kongs.
They have like a whole temple.
There's a temple.
Really cool.
And he finds the axe there.
And a throne.
And when he finds the axe, he finds that they have had this rivalry with Godzilla because he puts the axe on the floor and it lights up the symbol of Godzilla.
Which
to represent the axe is needed to stop him.
The axe is also made of one of the dorsal fins of Godzilla's species.
Yes. So they must have defeated one in the past.
So that is how... Well, yeah, there's even the skeleton one in there.
Yes. I think the axe is in one.
Yes. So that's why it's able to absorb the atomic energy and stuff like that, and transfer it, store it, yada yada.
That's why it can resist the atomic.
Yes.
And also the pole that the axe is on is made of that primal stone that contains the energy that created the Titans in the first place. So that's why it can take the attack. Because the Kongs used their monkey magic to make an axe.
Yes. Yeah, Hollow Earth was pretty kick-ass, had those weird freaky... it had the cool dragons, and then it had the weird, freaky bird monsters.
It is a beautiful place with a very, it's thought-provoking and it's really... It draws the imagination to this new world of Titans. And I could see an entire movie taking place in Hollow Earth.
I guarantee they'll have one eventually.
Oh, it's going to be good.
I'll be Kong Returns or something.
Or Kong's Domain. The Reign of Hollow Earth.
King Kong.
If you will. But anyway, going on. They fight Mechagodzilla. They beat Mechagodzilla. It's a great like ending, and then Kong's just like, I'm gonna take a seat in this skyscraper, and then Godzilla's like, sup. And Kong freaks out and he grabs the axe, like ready to fight. And Godzilla's like, nah.
Yeah, he basically looks at him. He's like, "You could stay." It's like, thanks for the assist, bud.
Next time.
Next time. Yeah.
So to tie it all up in a nice bow, it was a great monster movie. But there's still one giant part that I hate. Godzilla laser beams through the whole fucking planet.
I actually
And
loved
I'm
that.
not kidding.
I loved it.
Kong's in Hollow Earth, sitting on his throne, being like, man, I am awesome. And then Godzilla's just like,
Somebody's fucking with shit down there.
he destroys this beam
All the way down
straight down to Hollow Earth, which, mind you,
Earth.
is like 50% of the movie is getting to Hollow Earth. And Godzilla's like, nah, you just use the front door. There it is.
Although that did lead to one of the, for me, my favorite moments. I laughed so hard because after he does that, and Kong's like, "What the shit's happening?" Because the atomic
There's a
breath
hole.
comes in, and then he goes over to the hole, and Godzilla is like, they're doing like guys
Like
across
they
the
can
hallway,
see
like,
each other.
hey you, fuck yourself.
Mind you, this is a distance
Thousands of miles.
thousands of
Yeah.
miles. Like there's a portal that when Kong fell down into Hollow Earth, he hit this like fucking mystical portal.
Yeah. They're just
You gotta get
That's
this. Expect to travel thousands of miles in a second.
It was fun.
It's a monster movie. I mean, it's like, I don't know, that was
Physics,
fine.
physics is the least.
I was just saying,
concerned.
physics is the monster that got its ass beat the worst in this
Yes.
movie. Physics was beaten like a stepchild.
But Will, did that ruin the film for you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Physics should get the fuck out of my monster
Well,
movie.
and then at the end,
It was so good.
It was fantastic.
Kong did drop the axe, which was a sign of like, okay,
We're done fighting.
I'm not gonna
That
fight
is,
you.
I will say that is true. I didn't forever know that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fight you. And so then Godzilla's like, okay,
He's like, all right.
because he is the
Because
king.
Kong doesn't bow to him,
Right.
but he respects him as not
There's
an
a respect
enemy.
thing going on.
Because they thought, we're
Yeah.
enemies. And Kong, no.
The cinematography was good. Like the colors are great. The fights were good. The
The
animation
visuals
was
were
good.
fantastic. Even in the parts with the kids sleuth around the facility,
It looked great.
it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
Set designer, please.
They
Do
brought
more,
in this
do more.
this cool they had like a lot of neon and glowing shit.
And
in
that
this
was
one
great
that
for
was,
tech,
that was really
like
fun.
cyber tech
I mean,
facility.
like even the hoses that hook up to Mechagodzilla, they're full of like
yeah.
blue goo.
I was saying, all you need is more boom.
And there was a lot like the music. It was all like hard rock and techno and
Junkie XL.
All you needed,
Junkie XL.
all you needed was that guitar riff from Go Go Godzilla. Just put that in at any point. Like, oh.
Go Godzilla.
All right, so
Yeah,
Brad,
exactly. Just like he steps into Tokyo, turns, and he's just at door.
Yeah.
all right, so
Oh, there goes
Brad, would
Tokyo.
you recommend Godzilla vs Kong?
If you haven't seen it yet, you're a fucking idiot.
Now,
It's
would-
amazing.
Now, would I recommend this film? Yes, go see it in a theater. Even if you have HBO Max, that's fine.
If you feel comfortable doing so.
Yeah, go watch it in a theater because you need to see it on the biggest screen possible with the loudest sound possible. It's worth it. So, it's a good film. It's a good time.
See it.
This is a fantastic monster film that not only expands on the universe by bringing up Hollow Earth and talking about other possible environments where these monsters could come, it really does bring an extra level to like the intimacy of Kong and the hierarchy of Godzilla as it brings intelligence to them. Kong or Godzilla has to be a king, and he represents that by killing anyone who won't bow to him.
Intelligence versus instinct.
Yes, they have. Yeah, exactly.
Godzilla is a force of
represent-
nature versus
Kong.
something that's ascended to intelligence.
I really feel like this movie is a solid, in my books, 9 out of 10 for a monster film. And I only say that because I do think category matters. If you're comparing like Lord of the Rings to a monster film, you're really not going to be able to match many parts.
Right.
It just doesn't mesh. Which is why in my monster movie category, especially compared to the stuff we've gotten lately, this is a solid contender for one of the best monster films we've had in years.
Yeah, since Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
The first one. I still haven't seen the whole thing, and the whole second one, it looks kind of garbo, but...
We'll see. We'll watch it.
Point is...
I
We'll probably won't do a review on it, but we'll watch it.
This movie is probably... I will say, it is better than King of Monsters, but just barely for me, because I adored King of Monsters. Because that was a return to... It just felt like the old Godzilla.
And it was Godzilla-centric.
Yeah.
Whereas this film was
Kong.
kind of like...
Yeah.
It was more Kong-centric, because...
Kong stole the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he was...
So who's the real...
He was the driving force, and Godzilla was sort of the shadow, like, oh man, like he's the villain.
King Kong
statues
on the table.
Go watch the movie.
My birthday present!
Go watch the movie.
Just a whipping against the wall.
So, thanks for coming to Gark Bark.
Thanks for this third episode of Gark Bark. Next time we'll be reviewing